How to Live Self-Focused Life, Your Success Blueprint. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about success and virtue is a lie? A slow, polite poison they call selflessness. Right now, at this very moment, you're being programmed to believe that focusing on yourself is selfish, that your needs should come last, that your dreams should wait. And this lie is destroying you. It's leaving you drained, resentful, and living a life that isn't yours. This book is the antidote. It's the manual for radical self-focus. It's the permission slip you've been waiting for to put yourself first, not out of arrogance, but out of absolute necessity. Because here is the single non-negotiable truth this book is built on. You cannot give what you do not have. Listen closely. Everything is about to change. Chapter 1. Erase the word selfish from your vocabulary. Let's start with a demolition. Your first task is to take a sledgehammer to a single word. A word that has been weaponized against you, used to chain you to mediocrity, and deployed to keep you small, compliant, and exhausted. That word is selfish. I want you to erase it from your vocabulary. Not soften it. Not reinterpret it. Erase it. When it comes to the fundamental architecture of your life, your time, your energy, your focus, this word is a poison pill. It is a kill switch for your potential, disguised as virtue. We begin here because this is the foundational lie. The cultural programming that has you running on empty, seeking permission to simply breathe. The cultural lie. Look around. The narrative is everywhere. The parent who hasn't slept through the night in years, whose identity has dissolved into mom or dad, who wears their exhaustion like a badge of honor. The martyr. The employee who answers emails at midnight and on Sundays, who volunteers for the thankless tasks, whose team player mentality is just a fancy term for doormat. The caregiver, spread so thin across everyone else's needs there's nothing left for them but a hollow core. Society celebrates this. It calls it selfless. It calls it dedication. I call it a slow-motion suicide of the soul. Because here is the brutal, unvarnished truth. That system is not built on love. It is built on exploitation. It exploits the compassionate, the responsible, the dutiful. It guilts you into believing that to put yourself first, your sanity, your health, your growth, is a moral failing. That wanting more for yourself is greedy. That protecting your time is a sin. That's the lie. And you have been breathing it in like toxic air your entire life. You've been told that self-priority is narcissism. That focusing on your own engine is somehow a theft from others. It's not. It's the opposite. Redefining the terms. So we burn the old dictionary and write a new one. Right now. Self-care is not bubble baths and scented candles. That's maintenance. Basic upkeep. Self-care is the non-negotiable maintenance of your primary tool, you. You wouldn't expect a race car to run on sugar water and wishful thinking. Stop expecting it of yourself. Self-focus is not navel-gazing. It's strategy. It is the deliberate, ruthless allocation of your attention to the things that build your capability, your resources, your power. It's studying when others are scrolling. It's training when others are complaining. It's planning when others are panicking. And self-priority? That is not narcissism. It is leadership. It is the conscious decision to steward the one life you have been given with the seriousness it demands. Let's be crystal clear, and I will repeat this until you feel it in your bones. Selfishness is taking from others to benefit yourself. Self-focus is building yourself so you can contribute to others. Say it out loud. Selfishness is taking. Self-focus is building. That's the key. The entire shift in worldview hinges on this distinction. The selfish person drains the room. The self-focused person builds a bigger room. They generate more light, more energy, more capacity, and that overflow becomes their contribution. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot pour from an empty cup. These are clichés because they are true. Your compassion will run dry. Your patience will evaporate. Your generosity will become resentment wrapped in a smile if you have not first secured your own foundation. The first commandment. This brings us to your new operating principle. The first commandment of a life of power and impact. Your first and greatest moral duty is to your own potential, not to your boss's bottom line, not to your family's every fleeting want, not to society's silent, draining expectations. Your duty is to your potential. Hammer this into your mind. You cannot manage what you do not measure. You cannot steward a life you do not own. If you do not own your time, you are a tenant in your own life. If you do not measure your energy, you are bankrupt by noon. If you do not prioritize your growth, you are a servant to everyone else's. This is not philosophy. This is mechanics. A machine that is not maintained breaks down. You are that machine. Your mind, your body, your spirit, this is the hardware of your destiny. Neglect it, and you fail by default. Starting today, you begin the audit. Where are you leaking energy? What relationships are withdrawals, not deposits? What commitments are born from guilt, not purpose? You must measure these things. You must own these facts. Because when you build yourself, when you become stronger, sharper, richer in resources and resolve, you do not hoard that power. You become a catalyst. Your stability becomes a shelter for others. Your clarity cuts through chaos for your team. Your financial health becomes a legacy for your family. Your unshakable peace becomes a rock for those in your orbit. You build yourself so you can contribute to others. You don't need their permission to do this. You don't need to apologize for it. This is the highest form of responsibility. The selfless martyr is, in the end, useless, burned out, bitter, and depleted. The self-focused leader is a source, a fountain, not a drain. Erase the word selfish. When you feel its guilt trip creeping in, replace it with the question, am I taking or am I building? If you are building your capacity, your health, your mind, your future, you are not just justified. You are obligated. That's the key. The duty. The first and non-negotiable step. You've claimed ownership of your life's narrative. Now, you must learn to control the most dangerous weapon in it, your own voice. Chapter 2. The empty vessel can't pour. Let's talk physics. Not quantum theory, but the fundamental, unbreakable laws that govern your life. You are a vessel. Your energy, your time, your focus, your emotional capital. These are the contents. And this is the first non-negotiable law. The volume is finite. It is a measured quantity. It has limits. You can ignore this law, you can rage against it, you can pretend you're the exception. But the law doesn't care. It will break you. Trying to serve others from an empty cup isn't noble. It's a fraud. When you're empty, you have nothing to give. So what do? You hand them the cup anyway. And all they get are the cracks, the dust, the bitter residue of your resentment and exhaustion. You give them your fatigue instead of your focus, your irritation instead of your insight, your desperate need for validation instead of true support. That's not contribution. That's contamination. The physics of depletion. You must internalize this. Every yes is a no. Every allocation is a subtraction. When you give an hour to a task you hate, that hour is gone from the reservoir of your life. When you expend emotional energy managing someone else's drama, that energy is drained from your own mission. You cannot cheat this math. Think of your finest self, your most patient, creative, resilient, and powerful version, as a premium fuel. It's what you need to do your best work, to be the leader, the partner, the parent you know you can be. Now, what happens when you run on fumes? You don't just operate at a lower level. You break down. You detonate. You make catastrophic decisions. You speak words you can't take back. You quit things you should have nourished. You become a liability to everyone who depends on you, precisely because you refuse to depend on yourself first. Fill the vessel. That's the command. Because an empty vessel isn't just useless. It's a hazard. Case study in scarcity. Let's make it real. Meet Alex. Alex built a team. He was the always-on leader. The first one online, the last to leave the chat. He answered every Slack message at midnight. He took on every crisis, shielded his team from every stressor. He wore his 80-hour weeks as a badge. He was the vessel, pouring constantly. His team? They became passive. Dependent. They stopped thinking for themselves because Alex will handle it. Innovation died. Initiative died. Morale didn't soar, it just flatlined into comfortable helplessness. Then the vessel cracked. Alex snapped in a meeting over a minor mistake. He publicly eviscerated a well-meaning team member. The silence that followed wasn't respect. It was terror. And then betrayal. The trust he'd thought he was building evaporated in one white-hot moment of depleted rage. He didn't just burn out. He burned the whole structure down with him. His company mandated a leave of absence. His team, now rudderless and traumatized, floundered. What did his depletion give them? Nothing. It took everything. He thought he was being selfless. He was just being stupid with his resources. The martyr parent who finally screams at their kids over a spilled glass, they're not giving love. They're giving the echo of their emptiness. The burnt-out creator who stops creating, they're not serving their audience. They're abandoning them. Depletion serves no one. It is a failure of strategy, disguised as a virtue. The refill mandate. This leads to the only sane response. The mandate. You must schedule your refill before you schedule your give. Not after. Not if there's time. Before. This is the discipline that feels like selfishness but is, in fact, the cornerstone of true responsibility. You would not let a surgeon operate on your child after a 36-hour shift with no sleep. Why do you perform surgery on your own life, your own projects, your own relationships, in a state of total depletion? Protect the source. Your morning ritual, your workout, your silent planning hour, your learning block, these are not me time. That's a weak phrase for children. These are your source code maintenance sessions. This is where you recalibrate the instrument. This is where you sharpen the axe. You lock these in with the immovable force of a military operation. Everything else, the meetings, the requests, the urgent dramas, fits in around these pillars. They do not displace them. Guard the well. What toxic inputs are poisoning your well? The endless news scroll that fuels anxiety? The friend who only calls to dump their cynicism? The social media feed that trades your focus for envy? You must guard the well. Filtration is not optional. You must be ruthless about what and who you allow to draw from it. A well with no boundaries becomes a public mud pit. Fill the vessel. Protect the source. Guard the well. This is not a suggestion for a better life. It is the operational manual for a functional one. You are the primary asset in the equation of your legacy. Letting that asset degrade is not humility. It is gross negligence. Ask yourself now, where am I pouring from empty? What ritual of refill have I been neglecting, dismissing as a luxury? Stop. The empty vessel can't pour. It can only break and leave everyone around it cut and thirsty. You've learned to guard your resources. Now, you must learn to invest them where they count. It's time to audit your entire life and cut out the weak. Chapter 3. Stop living on borrowed approval. There's a trap you've been walking around in your entire life. It's baited with smiles, nods, and attaboys. It's sprung by silence, criticism, and rejection. It's the validation trap. And living in it is a debt-based existence. You are taking out emotional loans you can never repay. Every time you mold an opinion to match the room, that's a loan. Every time you swallow a truth to keep the peace, that's a loan. Every time you post, pitch, or perform while secretly refreshing the screen for the likes, the praise, the "you're so needed," you're taking out another high-interest loan on your self-worth. And here is the brutal collection notice. One day, that approval will not come. The market will crash. The crowd will turn. The patron will leave. And you will be left spiritually bankrupt, holding nothing but the hollowed-out shell of a personality you built on credit. You don't need their permission to be whole. But you've been acting like you do. The validation trap. External validation is a drug. It gives you a quick hit of certainty. They like me, therefore I am good. They need me, therefore I matter. It's a fast, easy currency. But it's counterfeit. Because you are handing the central power of your life, the right to decide if you are enough, over to a committee. A committee of bosses, peers, followers, even family, whose moods change, whose priorities shift, who are themselves lost and seeking their own fixes. You are letting a chaotic external world dictate your internal state. That's the key. You are living on borrowed approval. And all debt gets called in. When the applause fades, you are left with the silence and the crushing realization that you have no idea who you are without the noise. You've traded your sovereignty for a standing ovation that always ends. The cost of the chameleon. Let's look at the casualty report. Meet the chameleon. The chameleon is a shapeshifter. At work, they laugh at the boss's joke they don't find funny. They withhold the groundbreaking idea because it might rock the boat. In their social circle, they adopt the political opinion of the loudest person in the room. They buy the clothes, adopt the hobbies, use the slang of a tribe they don't even like, just to belong. What does it cost? First, it costs your voice. You stop hearing your own thoughts because you're too busy rehearsing theirs. Then, it costs your integrity. That gap between what you know and what you say becomes a canyon of quiet shame. Finally, it costs your entire life. One day the chameleon looks in the mirror and sees nothing but a blur of backgrounds. A life that feels like a costume. A collection of reactions, with no core to react from. They are praised for being agreeable, a team player, so easygoing. They are dying inside from a sickness called inauthenticity. The people-pleasing employee who never advocates for a raise, waiting for a reward that never comes, they've outsourced their value. The artist who abandons their unique style to chase a trend, they've traded a legacy for a temporary click. They are taking from the external to fund the internal, and it is a Ponzi scheme destined to collapse. Build your own credit system. The escape is not to become a jerk, indifferent to all feedback. That's just inverted validation. You're still letting them set the terms by defining yourself in opposition. The escape is to build your own, internal, sovereign credit system. This means you develop an internal scoreboard. Your own set of metrics, based on your own code, your own mission, your own definition of integrity. Did you do the work you promised yourself you'd do? Did you stand by a core principle when it was inconvenient? Did you learn a new skill? Did you protect your peace? Did you move one concrete step toward a goal that you set? That's where you look for the score. Not to the fickle crowd. The only approval that funds your life long-term is your own. Repeat that. The only approval that funds your life long-term is your own. External validation is candy. It's a sugar rush. Your own self-approval, earned through disciplined action aligned with your values, is protein. It's muscle. It's durable fuel that doesn't crash. Stop outsourcing your self-worth. You are the sole issuer of that currency. When you know you showed up with courage, when you know you did the hard thing, when you know you were true to your word, that deposits a confidence that no market downturn can wipe out. How do you start? You make a decision, alone, and stick to it. You state a boundary, calmly, and enforce it. You complete a project without posting a single update. You sit in a room with your own thoughts for an hour and refuse to reach for the dopamine of a notification. You feel the itch for validation, and you choose not to scratch it publicly. You fund the account yourself. It's not about arrogance. It's about sovereignty. It's about building a self that is asset-rich, not approval-dependent. You don't need their permission to validate yourself. That's the key. The liberation. The moment you stop living on borrowed approval, you become debt-free. And a debt-free soul is an unstoppable force. Now, with your own credit solid, you must learn the single skill that determines where that energy goes. It's time to master the power that builds empires and protects peace. Chapter 4. Your needs are not negotiable. Listen closely. We are about to correct a catastrophic error in your thinking. You have been taught that your core needs are luxuries, that they are the optional items at the bottom of the list, to be addressed only after everyone else's demands are met, if there's time, if you've earned it. That is a lie that is systematically destroying you. Sleep is not a luxury. It is systemic maintenance. Nutrition is not an indulgence. It is molecular fuel. Solitude is not hiding. It is strategic regrouping. Learning is not a hobby. It is neural software updates. These are not self-care treats. They are the infrastructure. They are the operating system. You would not expect a Formula One car to run on contaminated fuel, with bald tires and a busted transmission while blaming the car for not winning. Yet you do this to yourself every single day. You neglect the fundamental inputs and then wonder why the output, your mood, your focus, your results, your life, is sputtering and failing. That stops today. From luxury to infrastructure. Think of yourself as the most advanced piece of technology you will ever operate. You are biological hardware running psychological software, and your outputs, your decisions, your creativity, your resilience are only as good as your underlying systems. Your need for 7 to 8 hours of sleep is not a suggestion. It's when your brain flushes metabolic toxins, consolidates memory, and repairs itself. Skimping on sleep isn't being tough. It's running your mental processor with a critical cooling system shut down. You will overheat and crash. Your need for clean, high-quality food is not vanity. It's the literal source of the neurotransmitters that govern your willpower, your mood, your clarity. Garbage in, garbage out is not a metaphor. It is biochemical law. Your need for periods of solitude and silence is not antisocial. It is the only environment where your own voice can be heard above the static of the world. It's the debug mode for your psyche. Your need for continuous learning is not extra credit. It is the system update that prevents you from being rendered obsolete by a changing world. These are not negotiable. They are the terms of service. The minimum requirements for the machine to function as designed. The body keeps the score. And if you think you can cheat this, if you think you can run on promise and caffeine indefinitely, understand this. The body keeps the score. The mind can lie to itself, can spin narratives of martyrdom and hustle. The body just logs the data. And it presents the bill. Always. The bill comes as adrenal fatigue, a state where your stress response system is so exhausted it simply gives up. You're too tired to even feel stressed. You are numb. It comes as chronic illness, the inflammation, the autoimmune responses, the breakdowns that are your physiology's final, screaming protest against consistent neglect. It comes as decision fatigue, where by 2 p.m. You can't decide what to eat for lunch because your prefrontal cortex, starved of glucose and overwhelmed by cortisol, has gone offline. You are now running on primitive, reactive instinct. It comes as emotional numbness, where you stop feeling joy for your children, excitement for your projects, connection to your partner. You have poured out so much, for so long, without refilling, that the well isn't just dry. It's sealed over with concrete. This is not bad luck. This is cause and effect. You treated your needs as optional, and your entire system is now opting out. The non-negotiable list. So we move from theory to action. Right now. Not later. I am giving you a command. You will write your Big 5 non-negotiables. These are the 5 fundamental needs that form the foundation of your operational integrity. They are not goals. They are not aspirations. They are the daily, weekly, non-negotiable requirements for you to be the person you claim you want to be. Here is the framework. Your list must include needs from these categories. 1. Physical infrastructure, e.g., 7 hours of sleep, 3 liters of water, 30 minutes of movement. 2. Mental/emotional infrastructure, e.g., 15 minutes of morning silence, no phone before 8 a.m., a weekly digital sunset. 3. Strategic infrastructure, e.g., 90 minutes of deep, uninterrupted work on your number 1 priority, weekly planning session. Example. 1. Sleep in a dark, cold room for 7.5 hours. 2. Train with weights for 45 minutes, 4x per week. 3. First 90 minutes of the workday are for deep work only. No exceptions. 4. No digital devices after 9 p.m. 5. 1 full day of total rest and disconnection per week. Now, you write yours. These are not to be bargained with. You do not trade your sleep for last-minute emails. You do not trade your workout for a quick meeting. You do not trade your solitude for someone else's emotional dump. These are the terms of service for operating you. If someone wants your time, your energy, your brilliance, they must respect these terms. If a commitment violates a non-negotiable, the commitment is what gets broken, not your rule. You don't need their permission to enforce this. This is your fundamental responsibility. To allow these to be negotiated is to voluntarily dismantle your own foundation, brick by brick. It is self-sabotage with a smile. Your needs are not negotiable. They are the bedrock. You build everything else on top of them, or you watch everything else crumble into the shifting sand of compromise. You've fortified your foundation. Now, you must learn to defend its borders with ruthless precision. It's time to wield the most powerful word in the language of the free. Chapter 5. The Unapologetic No That Builds a Better Life. Here is the single most liberating skill you will ever master. It is not a tactic. It is not a negotiation trick. It is the fundamental grammar of a sovereign life. The word is no. And you must learn to say it cleanly, clearly, and without apology. Because right now, your life is a monument to all the weak, guilt-filled, obligatory yeses you never meant. Your schedule is drained. Your energy is spread across commitments you resent. Your own projects sit abandoned, gathering dust while you build someone else's dream. This ends with a single, declarative syllable. No. No is a complete sentence. You have been conditioned to believe that no is rude, that it requires a cushion of excuses, a story, a negotiation. You think you owe people an explanation. You do not. No is a complete sentence. The guilt you feel when you say it is not a signal that you're wrong. It is the withdrawal symptom from an addiction, your addiction to external approval. You are detoxing from the need to be seen as always available, always accommodating, the person who never lets anyone down. But who have you been letting down? Yourself. Your potential. Your future. Think of the last time you said yes when every cell in your body screamed no. The extra project that burned your weekends. The social event that drained you. The favor that hijacked your priorities. What did that yes give you? Resentment. Exhaustion. The quiet fury of a life off course. That week, yes, was a betrayal. A betrayal of the non-negotiables you just wrote down. You traded your integrity for a temporary escape from discomfort. From now on, you treat no with the respect it deserves. It is the primary tool of curation. It is how you sculpt your life from the formless block of other people's demands. A clear no is an act of profound respect for your time and for theirs. The economics of time. Let's talk economics. Your time is your sovereign currency. It is the one resource that is truly non-renewable. Once spent, it is gone forever. Every single yes is an investment of that currency. And here is the critical law you must sear into your mind. When you say yes to them, you are almost always saying no to your future self. Say it out loud. When you say yes to them, you are almost always saying no to your future self. Agreeing to that meaningless meeting? That's a no to the deep work that would have moved your mission forward. Taking on that drama-filled emergency for a colleague? That's a no to the rest and recovery your body desperately needs. Saying yes to another obligation out of guilt? That's a no to the quiet evening that would have restored your sanity. You are constantly voting with your time. And most people are voting for a life of distraction, obligation, and mediocrity, while wondering why they never achieve what matters to them. You cannot have two priorities. Something is always first. Your yes reveals what it is. If your calendar is filled with other people's priorities, you have voted. You have said no to your own. Practice the polite fortress. Now, how do you do this? You don't need to be a jerk. You need to be a fortress, polite, immovable, and clear. You build this with scripts. Pre-written, non-emotional, firm responses. You practice them until they roll off the tongue with calm finality. Here is your new vocabulary. That doesn't work for me. No excuse needed. It doesn't work. My priorities won't allow that right now. You state your priorities as fact, not opinion. I'm not available for that. You are not debating, you are informing. I don't have the capacity to take that on properly. This frames your no as an act of integrity, not refusal. I'm going to pass, but I appreciate you thinking of me. Warm but closed. The core message you must embody. A guarded no is more generous than a resentful yes. A resentful yes poisons the well. It leads to half-hearted effort, missed deadlines, and simmering bitterness that erodes the relationship. A clear, early no sets a clean boundary. It frees the other person to find the right solution, and it frees you to honor your commitments fully. You don't need their permission to protect your time. That's the key. You are not responsible for managing their reaction to your boundaries. You are only responsible for stating them clearly and respectfully. Start small. Say no to the trivial request that would only waste 10 minutes. Feel the discomfort and let it be there. Do not explain. You are retraining your own nervous system and teaching the world how to treat you. Your unapologetic no is the sound of you building a better life. It is the sound of space being created. Space for focus, for your real yes, for a future that belongs to you, not to the accumulated demands of others. Now, with your time protected by your newfound no, you must face the most important judge you will ever encounter. It's time to leave the committee of the peanut gallery behind. Chapter 6. Build the fortress before you man the walls. Let's talk strategy. Not just personal development, but the kind of hard-nosed, historical strategy that decides the fate of empires and the survival of individuals. No sane civilization, in all of human history, ever made this mistake. They did not send their entire army across the sea to defend an ally while their own city walls were crumbling, their granaries were empty, and their people were vulnerable. It would be suicide. It is a betrayal of the primary duty of any leader, to ensure the security and continuity of the entity they are responsible for. Yet this is exactly what you do every single day. You rush out to save others, to fight their fires, to man their walls, while your own fortress, your mental peace, your physical health, your financial stability, is undermanned, undersupplied, and wide open to attack. This is not nobility. It is strategic insanity. And it ends today. Security precedes sacrifice. The first principle of a sovereign life is this: security precedes sacrifice. Your capacity to help, to contribute, to be a force for good in the world, is directly proportional to your own stability. You cannot give what you do not have, and you cannot protect what you have not first built. The people-pleasing employee who never advocates for a raise, waiting for a reward that never comes, they've outsourced their value. The artist who abandons their unique style to chase a trend, they've traded a legacy for a temporary click. They are taking from the external to fund the internal, and it is a Ponzi scheme destined to collapse. Build your own credit system. The escape is not to become a jerk, indifferent to all feedback. That's just inverted validation. You're still letting them set the terms by defining yourself in opposition. The escape is to build your own, internal, sovereign credit system. This means you develop an internal scoreboard. Your own set of metrics, based on your own code, your own mission, your own definition of integrity. Did you do the work you promised yourself you'd do? Did you stand by a core principle when it was inconvenient? Did you learn a new skill? Did you protect your peace? Did you move one concrete step toward a goal that you set? That's where you look for the score, not to the fickle crowd. The only approval that funds your life long-term is your own. Repeat that. The only approval that funds your life long-term is your own. External validation is candy. It's a sugar rush. Your own self-approval, earned through disciplined action aligned with your values, is protein. It's muscle. It's durable fuel that doesn't crash. Stop outsourcing your self-worth. You are the sole issuer of that currency. When you know you showed up with courage, when you know you did the hard thing, when you know you were true to your word, that deposits a confidence that no market downturn can wipe out. How do you start? You make a decision, alone, and stick to it. You state a boundary, calmly, and enforce it. You complete a project without posting a single update. You sit in a room with your own thoughts for an hour and refuse to reach for the dopamine of a notification. You feel the itch for validation, and you choose not to scratch it publicly. You fund the account yourself. It's not about arrogance. It's about sovereignty. It's about building a self that is asset-rich, not approval-dependent. You don't need their permission to validate yourself. That's the key. The liberation. The moment you stop living on borrowed approval, you become debt-free. And a debt-free soul is an unstoppable force. Now, with your own credit solid, you must learn the single skill that determines where that energy goes. It's time to master the power that builds empires and protects peace. Chapter 4. Your needs are not negotiable. Listen closely. We are about to correct a catastrophic error in your thinking. You have been taught that your core needs are luxuries, that they are the optional items at the bottom of the list, to be addressed only after everyone else's demands are met, if there's time, if you've earned it. That is a lie that is systematically destroying you. Sleep is not a luxury. It is systemic maintenance. Nutrition is not an indulgence. It is molecular fuel. Solitude is not hiding. It is strategic regrouping. Learning is not a hobby. It is neural software updates. These are not self-care treats. They are the infrastructure. They are the operating system. You would not expect a Formula One car to run on contaminated fuel, with bald tires and a busted transmission while blaming the car for not winning. Yet you do this to yourself every single day. You neglect the fundamental inputs and then wonder why the output, your mood, your focus, your results, your life, is sputtering and failing. That stops today. From luxury to infrastructure. Think of yourself as the most advanced piece of technology you will ever operate. You are biological hardware running psychological software, and your outputs, your decisions, your creativity, your resilience are only as good as your underlying systems. Your need for 7 to 8 hours of sleep is not a suggestion. It's when your brain flushes metabolic toxins, consolidates memory, and repairs itself. Skimping on sleep isn't being tough. It's running your mental processor with a critical cooling system shut down. You will overheat and crash. Your need for clean, high-quality food is not vanity. It's the literal source of the neurotransmitters that govern your willpower, your mood, your clarity. Garbage in, garbage out is not a metaphor. It is biochemical law. Your need for periods of solitude and silence is not antisocial. It is the only environment where your own voice can be heard above the static of the world. It's the debug mode for your psyche. Your need for continuous learning is not extra credit. It is the system update that prevents you from being rendered obsolete by a changing world. These are not negotiable. They are the terms of service. The minimum requirements for the machine to function as designed. The body keeps the score. And if you think you can cheat this, if you think you can run on promise and caffeine indefinitely, understand this. The body keeps the score. The mind can lie to itself, can spin narratives of martyrdom and hustle. The body just logs the data. And it presents the bill. Always. The bill comes as adrenal fatigue, a state where your stress response system is so exhausted it simply gives up. You're too tired to even feel stressed. You are numb. It comes as chronic illness, the inflammation, the autoimmune responses, the breakdowns that are your physiology's final, screaming protest against consistent neglect. It comes as decision fatigue, where by 2 p.m., you can't decide what to eat for lunch because your prefrontal cortex, starved of glucose and overwhelmed by cortisol, has gone offline. You are now running on primitive, reactive instinct. It comes as emotional numbness, where you stop feeling joy for your children, excitement for your projects, connection to your partner. You have poured out so much, for so long, without refilling, that the well isn't just dry. It's sealed over with concrete. This is not bad luck. This is cause and effect. You treated your needs as optional, and your entire system is now opting out. The non-negotiable list. So we move from theory to action. Right now. Not later. I am giving you a command. You will write your Big 5 non-negotiables. These are the 5 fundamental needs that form the foundation of your operational integrity. They are not goals. They are not aspirations. They are the daily, weekly, non-negotiable requirements for you to be the person you claim you want to be. Here is the framework. Your list must include needs from these categories. 1. Physical infrastructure, e.g., 7 hours of sleep, 3 liters of water, 30 minutes of movement. 2. Mental/emotional infrastructure, e.g., 15 minutes of morning silence, no phone before 8 a.m., a weekly digital sunset. 3. Strategic infrastructure, e.g., 90 minutes of deep, uninterrupted work on your number 1 priority weekly planning session. Example. 1. Sleep in a dark, cold room for 7.5 hours. 2. Train with weights for 45 minutes, 4x per week. 3. First 90 minutes of the workday are for deep work only. No exceptions. 4. No digital devices after 9 p.m. 5. 1 full day of total rest and disconnection per week. Now, you write yours. These are not to be bargained with. You do not trade your sleep for last-minute emails. You do not trade your workout for a quick meeting. You do not trade your solitude for someone else's emotional dump. 3. Financial security. Your runway, your freedom from existential panic, your ability to make choices from a position of option, not desperation. If any one of these walls is breached, the entire fortress is compromised. A financial crisis will shatter your mental peace. A health collapse will destroy your earning potential. Chronic anxiety will sabotage your decision-making in every other arena. You cannot offer sustainable help from a position of desperation. You can only offer a desperate, codependent rescue that drains both of you dry. That's the key. You must build the fortress first. The save yourself first protocol. This isn't abstract. It's a literal, step-by-step protocol. It's the oxygen mask rule for your entire life. On an airplane, they instruct you, put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. Why? Because if you pass out from hypoxia, you are useless to everyone. You are now part of the problem. Your life is that depressurizing cabin. The protocol is non-negotiable. Step 1. Seal the financial breach. Your first engineering project is your financial moat. This means an emergency fund that covers your bare survival for a minimum of 3 months. Not invested. Not touched. This is the money that says, I can breathe, I can think, I can say no. Until this exists, your generosity is a performance funded by fear. Step 2. Fortify the physical rampart. Your body is not an aesthetic project. It is your primary piece of equipment. The Save Yourself First protocol mandates a non-negotiable health baseline. Sleep that actually restores, nutrition that fuels instead of depleting, and movement that builds resilience. You cannot man the walls if you are chronically sick, exhausted, and inflamed. Step 3. Garrison the mental gate. This is your emotional boundary system. You install the filters. You decide what information, what criticism, what demands, and which people get past the gate. This is the daily practice of your no, of your solitude, of guarding your attention like the sovereign territory it is. Without this garrison, every passing thought and external drama becomes an invading force. You execute this protocol before you take on another person's debt, before you volunteer for another draining committee, before you sacrifice your weekend to someone else's poor planning. The outcome of strength. What happens when the fortress is built? You stop operating from a place of lack and start operating from a place of overflow. The insecure, depleted person offers help that is laced with unspoken contracts. You owe me. Validate me. Make my sacrifice worth it. It is fragile, resentful, and collapses under the first sign of ingratitude. The secure, self-focused individual offers help from a place of true abundance. It is clean. It has no strings. It is sustainable because it comes from a reservoir that is constantly being replenished by their own discipline systems. They are unshakable. You build the fortress not to hide from the world, but to have an unshakable base to operate from in the world. From the high, secure walls of your own stability, your vision is clear. You can see where you are truly needed, rather than reacting to every cry for attention. Your help becomes strategic, powerful, and transformative, instead of a reflexive, draining habit. Your strength becomes your greatest contribution. Your stability becomes a shelter others can rely on. But you cannot lend a wall you do not have. Build the fortress. Secure your foundation. Man your own walls first. This is not selfishness. It is the prerequisite for any sacrifice that is worth a damn. Now, from this position of strength, you must learn to navigate the most treacherous territory of all, the expectations of those who liked you better when you were weak. It's time to master the inevitable backlash. Chapter 7. Obsess over your energy, not their opinions. We're going to simplify your entire life down to 2 currencies. Just 2. The first is energy. This is your life force. Your focus, your drive, your emotional resilience, your physical vitality, your creative spark. It is the capital of your existence. It is finite. It is non-renewable today. You cannot borrow more of it. The second is opinion. This is the noise. The feedback, the praise, the criticism, the likes, the gossip, the judgments, from your boss, your family, strangers online, the invisible jury in your head. It is external, fickle, and infinite in its supply. Here is the catastrophic error almost everyone makes. They spend their entire daily allotment of energy, their precious, irreplaceable capital, in a desperate attempt to manage and control the opinions of others. They exhaust themselves explaining, justifying, performing, people-pleasing, and worrying. They are trading gold for smoke. This is how you go spiritually bankrupt. You wake up depleted, having spent your vitality on something you can never own, control, or deposit into your future. That cycle ends right now. The two currencies. Understand the exchange rate. It is always a robbery. When you rework a presentation 10 times out of fear of a colleague's snide remark, you are trading an hour of your energy for their fleeting opinion. When you bite your tongue and swallow your truth to keep a false peace, you are trading your integrity, a massive energy expenditure, for their temporary comfort. When you scroll through comments seeking validation, you are trading your focus and self-worth for digital dust. You are the banker, and you are authorizing a daily heist of your own vault. Stop financing their opinions with your life force. Their opinion is their business. Your energy is your sovereignty. You must become a miser with one and indifferent to the other. The energy audit. This demands a ruthless, forensic audit. You must trace every unit of energy spent. Where is it going? What is the return on investment? Grab a piece of paper. 2 columns. Column A. Energy vampires. These are the people, activities, obligations, and thought patterns that drain your reservoir. They leave you feeling anxious, depleted, resentful, or numb. The person who always leaves you feeling criticized or small. The endless, circular worry about a situation you cannot control. The social media scroll that leaves you comparing and empty. The committee meeting that could have been an email. The news binge that fuels outrage but offers no agency. Column B. Energy generators. These are the people, activities, and practices that fill your reservoir. They leave you feeling clear, inspired, stronger, and more focused. The 30-minute workout that clears your head. The conversation with the friend who challenges and believes in you. The deep work session where you lose yourself in flow. The walk in nature without your phone. The act of learning something that excites you. Your audit is complete. Now, the command is non-negotiable. Divest from drains. Invest in generators. This is not a suggestion for a better mood. This is portfolio management for your soul. You cut the vampires off. You limit your exposure. You say no. You mute, unfollow, and walk away. You schedule the generators with the sacred commitment of a board meeting. You protect them with your new, unapologetic no. Become an energy sovereign. Sovereignty isn't a feeling. It's a system of control. You become an energy sovereign by controlling just 2 things, your input and your internal narrative. Control your input. You are what you consume. The media you ingest, the conversations you tolerate, the visual and auditory clutter you allow into your space, this is all direct energy investment. You must gatekeep this with violent selectivity. Consume fuel, not poison. Listen to builders, not complainers. Read material that equips, not material that enrages. Control your internal narrative. This is the master skill. The opinion that matters most is the one running on the ticker tape inside your own skull. When you obsess over what they must think, you are letting a ghost committee run your mental boardroom. You must evict them. Replace their chatter with your own directive. Instead of, "They think I'm failing," you install, "I am on my plan, executing my steps." You narrate your own story, based on your own evidence. Your energy portfolio is your most important asset. Manage it with greed. You don't need their permission to protect your peace. That's the key. Their opinion is not a withdrawal slip for your energy. You are the sole signatory on that account. When you obsess over your energy, a miraculous thing happens. Their opinions lose all power over you. You're too busy building, generating, and investing in things that yield a real return: your strength, your peace, your progress. You become a closed, efficient system, a fortress that generates its own power. Now, with your energy guarded and your focus sharp, you are ready for the final, decisive move. It's time to stop reacting to the world's blueprint and start drafting your own. The architect is waiting. Chapter 8. Lead from a full tank, not on fumes. Let's redefine leadership. Forget the title on the door. Forget the org chart. Real leadership is influence. It's the gravity you exert on the space around you, in your home, at your job, in your own mind. And there is a single, definitive factor that determines the quality of your gravitational pull: your internal fuel level. Most people are trying to lead from the red line, on fumes, on desperation. They are the frantic parent snapping at their kids, the reactive manager putting out fires they created through poor planning, the busy martyr whose exhaustion is a silent, toxic demand for recognition. That is not leadership. That is a distress signal. True leadership, the kind that builds lasting strength in others, comes from a different place entirely. It comes from a full tank. The leadership paradox. Here is the paradox you must internalize. The most effective leader is not the most drained, but the most resourced. Think about the contrast. The leader on fumes is reactive. Every problem is a 5-alarm fire. Their energy is chaotic. Their communication is fear-based or angry. Their decisions are short-term patches. They create anxiety. They broadcast scarcity. Their team or family is constantly bracing for the next crisis, which is usually the leader's own burnout manifesting. The leader with a full tank is strategic. They see problems from a higher altitude. Their energy is calm and directed. Their communication is clear, because they have the mental space to think. Their decisions are considered, often more creative and compassionate, because they are not made from a place of survival panic. Which world would you rather live in? Which would you rather create? You cannot give what you do not have. If you are trying to lead, guide, or parent from an empty tank, you are not giving guidance. You are giving your depletion. You are handing people your anxiety and calling it a plan. Modeling over martyrdom. People, especially children and teens, do not learn from your lectures. They learn from your example. They imitate what they see, not what you say. When you model martyrdom, the sigh of exhaustion, the boast about how little you slept, the constant sacrifice with a side of resentment, you are teaching them that this is what adulthood, responsibility, and success look like. You are programming the next generation of burnouts. But when you model self-priority, when you guard your sleep, when you calmly enforce a boundary, when you take time to refuel without apology, you are giving them a new, revolutionary permission slip. You are showing them a different way to be. Your calm becomes their calm. Your clear no teaches them they can have their own. Your commitment to your own well-being demonstrates that it is not only acceptable, but essential. You are not just leading, you are liberating. You are showing that a strong core is not selfish, it is foundational. The ripple of fullness. Now, let's talk about the ripple effect of a full tank. This is where the selfish act becomes your greatest contribution. Decisions made from abundance are categorically different from decisions made from scarcity. From a full tank, you have the patience to listen. You have the creativity to see a third option. You have the compassion to be firm without being cruel. You can offer help that empowers, instead of rescue that cripples. From fumes, every decision is a threat. Every request is a drain. Your world shrinks to survival. There is no vision, only reaction. You cannot navigate a storm from a sinking ship. You must first seal your hull and chart your course. Your full tank is your sealed hull. Your non-negotiables are your navigation instruments. From this position of stability, you can actually steer. You can navigate the storm for others because you are not frantically bailing water in your own cabin. Leading from a full tank means your primary leadership task is fuel management, for yourself first. It means scheduling your refueling with more importance than your meetings. It means your first duty is to be the most centered, clear-headed person in the room. Because when you are resourced, you stop taking on other people's chaos. You stop trying to fill their cups from your empty pitcher. Instead, you become a stable, reliable point on the map. You become the person others can navigate by. You don't need their permission to refuel. That's the key. The most powerful permission you give is to yourself. And in doing so, you grant it to everyone watching. You've learned to lead yourself. Now, you must confront the final seductive lie, that your past has written your future. It's time to seize the pen. Chapter 9. Your growth is your greatest contribution. We need to end a final, poisonous misconception. You've been taught that contribution is about sacrifice, about what you give up, what you hand over, what you do for others. That's only half the equation. And it's the weaker half. The most powerful, enduring, and transformative contribution you will ever make to your family, your work, this world, is not what you subtract from yourself. It's what you build in yourself. Your growth is not a private hobby. It is a public service. The rising tide. Think of your personal development as a rising tide. When you become a more skilled, more valuable earner, you don't just pad your own bank account. You create more security for your dependents. You gain the leverage to demand better conditions, lifting standards for your peers. You fund innovations and create jobs. Your increased capacity becomes economic stability for your entire orbit. When you become a wiser, more emotionally regulated parent or partner, you don't just have nicer dinners. You break generational cycles of trauma. You create a home that is a sanctuary of peace, not a factory of anxiety. You model healthy conflict and secure love. That becomes the psychological inheritance of everyone who comes after you. When you become a healthier, stronger individual, you don't just look better. You become reliable. You have the vitality to show up for the long haul. You are not a burden. You are a pillar. When you become a more learned, disciplined thinker, you don't just win arguments. You solve harder problems. You see through cultural nonsense. You become a source of clarity in a fog of confusion. Your personal upgrades are not selfish. They are the rising tide that lifts every boat connected to your dock. Your focus on building yourself is the highest leverage work you can do for others. Stop hiding your gains. Now, confront your instinct to shrink. You feel it, don't you? The urge to downplay your new discipline, your new success, your new boundaries. To make a joke about your healthy lunch. To hide your morning study ritual. To mumble about your raise. You do this to soothe the insecurity of those who are not growing. To make them comfortable. This is not kindness. It is cowardice. And it is a profound disservice. By dimming your light, you are keeping everyone in the dark. You are validating stagnation. You are saying, through your actions, that it's better to stay small and accepted than to grow and risk making others feel uneasy. I am giving you a new command. Shine. Let your upgrades be visible. Talk about the book that changed your perspective. Be unapologetic about your gym time. Calmly state your new boundaries without watering them down. Your visible progress is not bragging. It is a living, breathing possibility model. Your ascent creates a new blueprint for others. It whispers, "This way is possible." When you own your growth, you give everyone around you permission to imagine their own. You stop being just a participant in your world. You become a benchmark. Legacy of capacity. This reframes everything, especially your legacy. Most people think of legacy as what they left behind: the money, the company, the memories. But the most powerful legacy is not the output. It's the capacity that created the output. Your ultimate legacy isn't what you did for people. It's the person you built yourself into that enabled you to do it. The disciplined, resilient character that built the business. The emotionally intelligent, patient heart that raised secure children. The strong, healthy body that carried you through decades of adventure and service. The curious, relentless mind that solved the problems. That is what you leave. Not just the fish, but the ability to fish. Not just the shelter, but the knowledge of how to build. Don't just leave a memory. Leave a method. Leave a model of a person who built themselves first. Your greatest contribution is the example of a human being who took full responsibility for their own potential. Who understood that the best way to serve the world was not to arrive at its door empty-handed and exhausted, but to arrive fortified, skilled, and overflowing. Your growth is your gift. Stop apologizing for it. Stop hiding it. Prioritize it with a ferocity that the world will mistake for selfishness until they see the gardens that grow in the soil you've enriched. You've embraced the duty of growth. Now, you must put it into daily practice. It's time to build the ultimate tool for a sovereign life. Chapter 10. The Self-Focused Life. Your New Blueprint. This is the synthesis. The point where philosophy becomes protocol and intention becomes architecture. We are not just summarizing ideas. We are assembling your new operating system. The blueprint for a life that is not reacted to, but built. Brick by disciplined brick. Your old identity, the giver, the martyr, the people-pleaser, the exhausted reactor, is officially decommissioned. It was a weak vessel, built for shallow waters. We are building an ocean liner. Synthesis. The daily operating system. This is the how. The unbreakable code you run daily. 1. The morning sovereignty ritual, your daily boot-up. This is non-negotiable. Before you check a single input from the world, you must establish your own internal output. 60 to 90 minutes, for you alone. A silence and intention, 10 minutes no screens. No sound. Just you, your breath, and the deliberate setting of your day's primary focus. You state your intention. Today, I operate from a full tank. My priority is X. Energy investment. 30+ min move your body. Train it. Not to punish it, but to strengthen your primary instrument. This is a direct deposit into your energy portfolio. A strategic input. 20 minutes consume fuel for your mind. Read from a book that grows you. Listen to a lecture. Review your goals. Fill the well before the world starts drawing from it. 2. The weekly review and audit, your system diagnostics. 1 hour every week. You become the CEO of You Incorporated. Energy audit. Review your week. What were the top 3 energy drains? The top 3 energy generators? Plan to ruthlessly eliminate 1 drain and amplify 1 generator for next week. A boundary check. Did you uphold your big 5 non-negotiables? Where did you leak? Where did you say a resentful yes that should have been a clean no? Adjust. Fortify. A progress scan. Did your actions this week move the needle on your own mission? Not your boss's, not your family's, yours. Measure it. Course correct. 3. The boundary templates, your fortress walls. These are your pre-written scripts, your automated defenses. 4 time requests, I can't commit to that, my priorities are locked in right now. 4 emotional drains, I'm not in a space to discuss this productively. I care about you, but I need to step away. 4 self-doubt, my validation comes from my own scoreboard. I am on my plan. This system is your new reality. You run it. It runs your life. Embrace the new identity. Language shapes reality. You must now speak of yourself with the vocabulary of sovereignty. You are no longer a giver. You are an architect. You are designing a life with intention, not inheriting one by accident. You are no longer a martyr. You are a sovereign. You rule your inner kingdom with justice, protecting its borders and resources. You are no longer selfless. You are a fortress. You are strong, secure, and from your walls, you provide true shelter. You are self-focused. This is not a flaw. It is your job title. Your primary occupation is the stewardship and expansion of your own potential. From that role, all other contributions flow. When someone calls you selfish, you will hear it for what it is, the startled reaction of someone who only knows how to navigate the old map of guilt and depletion. You are charting new territory. The perpetual engine. This is the final truth. The self-focused life is not a stagnant state of having arrived. It is a dynamic, perpetual motion engine. It has one beautiful, self-reinforcing cycle. You fill the vessel. Through your rituals, your non-negotiables, your guarded energy. You prioritize your foundation. You grow the asset. With the resources and focus you've secured, you build your skills, your wisdom, your resilience, your capacity. You overflow with contribution. That growth creates an excess. More insight, more stability, more strength, more creativity, that naturally, authentically spills over to everyone and everything in your orbit. And then, you return to fill again, from an even greater capacity. You fill, you grow, you overflow. You fill, you grow, you overflow. This is the cycle. This is the way. It turns the lie of selfishness on its head. The most contributory life is not the one that starts by giving everything away. It is the one that starts by building an unshakable core. Your growth is your gift. Your stability is your offering. Your sovereignty is the greatest service you can render to a chaotic world. You now have the blueprint, the tools, the language, the permission you never needed but now possess. The work is not easy. It is simple. Show up each day. Run your system. Guard your fortress. Grow your capacity. Let the overflow be your legacy. This is the self-focused life. This is your life. Let's be brutally clear. The old way is over. The myth of self-sacrifice as virtue has expired. You now know the truth. An empty vessel has nothing to give. A leader on fumes leads everyone off a cliff. A life built on borrowed approval will be repossessed. Your new mandate is non-negotiable. Your needs come first. Your energy is sacred. Your growth is your job. From this solid ground, this unshakable fortress, you will operate. Your yes will have power. Your no will have integrity. Your love will be abundant, not desperate. Your help will be sustainable, not sacrificial. You will not give from your reserves, but from your overflow. This is not selfish. This is how you change everything. The world does not need more drained, resentful martyrs. It needs fulfilled, powerful architects. It needs you at full capacity. So here is your challenge, your only task. Go build yourself. Obsess over your foundation. Fill your tank to the brim. Grow with relentless focus. And then, and only then, go out and watch what your overflow builds in this world. The cycle starts now. Fill. Grow. overflow, begin. End of audiobook.